Stephanie Parson. I'm with the Seniors Empowerment 2 series that we put on free, the seminar series every month. I'm with Mature Move Solutions and also Parson Realty Group. I consult with a lot of clients about downsizing. And in particular, we talk to them about going into senior living or some type of smaller living environment. And you know, most of the most popular question always is when we look at the space they're moving into, they say, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with all of my stuff? Okay, we consume a lot and collect a lot in our homes, and we fill the space that we have. By show of hands, how many of you have liquidated an estate before? Anybody? Okay, yeah, a couple of you. Okay, it's a lot of work, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So, how many of you have done a garage sale before? Yeah, more of us. Okay. And how many of you, the last time you did a garage sale, you vowed never again? Oh my gosh, they are not fun. So much has changed over the years in how people buy and sell furniture, household goods, clothes, just various personal property. And things have changed about the means and the way we can do it. So the good news is you have options beside the dreaded garage sale. And that's what our panelists are here today to give us more information about those options. So our expert panelists are going to share us the different ways to liquidate personal items, current trends in estate liquidation, what's selling, you know, what's hot and what's not, and just any other things you need to know. And again, we'll have Q&A at the end. You know, maybe you're very charitable and you want to donate all of your items to a good cause. Well, that sounds easy enough, doesn't it? Well, I'll just, you know, you think, I'll just call up ABC Charity and they'll come over, they'll want all my stuff, they'll take it up, no problem. Sounds easy, right? No. Not always the case. So we will delve into also making donations. So turn to your neighbor and say, we're going to learn something today. Now turn back and say, it's about time. So let's have our three panelists come up now. Sherry, if you want to take first.
Sorry.
Okay, you took my water off. Forgive me.
All right, awesome. Thanks for being here today, guys. So, would you tell us a little bit about who you are, what your business is, and basic services you provide, and we'll start with Sherry at the end.
My name's Sherry May. I'm Executive Director of the Sharing Shed. We provide furniture for families in need. There's about 70 different social service agencies that send people to us, and everything's donated to us and everything's given away.
Okay. All right, Rob, how about you?
My name is Rob Wyman. I am an auctioneer for Coast to Coast Auctions and Realty. We are a full-service auction company. We have been in business for over 20 years. I have set more than 700 world records on the high sale price of various types of personal property. I do the whole, hit 25, I want 30, going to be 30, 30 here, 5, where going to be 35 on it, 35, I want 40, you're turning 40, I'd do it if I were you, going to be $40 bid. So I do that.
Wow. That's good.
And we do our sales online.
All right. Good morning. My name is Jeff Randall, and I'm owner with my wife, Regina, and my son, Ford, of Pennies in Your Pocket Estate Sales Services. And we've been in business since 1999. And our format is on site estate sale, where we go into the home and we organize it, display the items, price the items, and people come in and it's a tag sale. So if there's an item they want, they can take that item to the cashier, pay for it, and out the door. And so, and we do that throughout the bi-state area, both Missouri and Illinois side, and we enjoy it very much.
All right, so Sherry, tell us a little bit how the sharing shed, sharing with the sharing shed.
Oh, you had to say it, didn't you?
Tell us how it works and helps people.
Okay. So we have about 7 different churches that serve at the shed. We serve families that come to different agencies, anywhere from like coming out of jail or coming out of rehab. We take care of people coming from fire situations, flood situations, just you name it. We help them. They come to us referred by someone that has a very small eligibility guidelines that they have to qualify them for. Then they make the appointment with us, and then they come in and pick out whatever it is. We're kind of set up really unique. Our whole premise is to do it in a dignified way. We have everything set up kind of like a boutique, so they get to come in, and if you go online, you can see, you can kind of shop, it looks like a boutique, and they get to pick out whatever it is they need. We have different days that we're open, it's all volunteers other than myself and one other person, and they come in and pick out whatever they need. They have to have a vehicle large enough to take those items home. We go from couches and beds. Beds is probably our biggest thing. There's not a lot of places that people in need can get beds, and they're a very expensive item for them to get. So we go through a lot of linens. They're able to come and pick those items up. Now, pre-COVID, we did deliveries also. Right now, we're kind of getting that going again, because that 1 in every 4 families that we serve doesn't have the ability to have a truck or rent a truck, or doesn't have a friend or someone that they know that can do that for them. So that's an important aspect for this next year for us to get those delivery teams back up and running.
Sherry, where's your location at?
We're located in O'Fallon. We're on the East Outer Road, East Terra, right there by Metro Light.
And about how many families do you serve per month?
We serve about 25 different families a month, from all different, backgrounds and situations. So.
Okay, awesome, thank you. So Jeff, tell us a little bit about how an estate sale plays out from beginning to end.
Sure. Well, typically, when I get that phone call, they don't know where to start, and they're very overwhelmed. and I understand that. And so the first thing I tell them is, don't get rid of anything just yet. Because a lot of times people feel like they need to thin the herd a little bit, declutter before they even have someone like me come and look at it. So I just don't have me, or don't get rid of anything, just have me come and look at it. And the other thing is, it's important that depending on the situation, if they're having their own sale and they're downsizing, I need for them to know exactly what they want to keep versus what they want to sell, so that when I come and look at it, they'll know very clearly, hey, I want to sell this, I want to keep this. Same way if it's an estate sale where a family member has passed away and someone's now in charge of the estate sale, same process. Do the first step, figuring out what you want to keep and what you want to sell. And then I meet with them, we do the walkthrough. Most of the times, even after they decide to take whatever they want to take, there's still enough for an estate sale. And then we go in, I tell them, once you take whatever it is that you want, you're done. And then we go in, we set it up, we tag it, we do research on pricing, and that's important. And we advertise it, and then we conduct the sale. We do Friday and Saturday. So that's how typical estate sales are handled in this region.
Okay, all right. Rob, tell us how your sale works.
So we have a couple of different methods that we run. About 90% of our work is what I call the 3 Ds: death, divorce, and downsizing. We sign a contract after taking a look at the property with the person. We evaluate it to see if it's going to be a good fit. Then once we have figured out if the stuff that they have is going to be a good fit for an auction, we sign up a contract. We go in with a crew and we catalog everything that's going to be sold. We take pictures, we write descriptions, we use those pictures and descriptions to market the sale, build a contract out, or not, I'm sorry, not contract, a catalog out for the sale, place that catalog in our online bidding platform, and then we run the sale. It usually stays online for between 7 to 10 days. Sale runs through, people place their bids. At the end of the process, we do what I'm going to be doing in just about 4 hours today. I go out and I meet with the people who bought the items, and usually at the person's estate, although sometimes we do multi-consignor auctions at our warehouse. They pick up their items they bought. If there's items left over, we have solutions for that as well. And
so good point. So items that are left over. So Jeff, tell us what are some options when people do a sale, typically with an on-site estate sale.
Sure. Well, typically, we don't do clean outs or clear outs. We want to make sure that there's an arm, so they sort of, I never at any point own or have any rights over your property. You're hiring me to go in and conduct a sale and sell as much as we can for as much as we can. So what I do is I provide them with a list of, and it's a pretty extensive list of people that do that for a living, that are professional clean out people, or people, and typically there's a fee associated, because years ago when we started this in 1999, the estate sale company, that was part of their service, was to clean it out for you. Well, things have changed over the years. It's not free anymore. Someone's paying someone something to get rid of it. You could call charity. You could call two and they would race each other to the door to pick up stuff. That doesn't happen anymore. You have to pay to get rid of appliances and computers and things like that. So we don't do that. And it's funny because when we decided to make that decision, and it's been several years now, quite a few years, it was like, oh, that's not going to happen. People aren't, and people do understand that. But it's a big part of the liquidation process, because you're not going to get rid of everything. We'll sell a lot of it, and typically the stuff that doesn't sell is the least desirable, and it usually ends up in charity most of the time. But for a lot of people, that's an important process. And once we're able to give them some reputable names, referrals, and they kind of, and I'll stick with them if I need to, if they're not comfortable with it. A lot of these people I've worked with before, and I can kind of be that middle person, make sure that everything is coming together. But it is an important part of it, because there will be things that they have to get rid of. Sometimes when we have a great sale and we sell a ton, and they were going to hire someone to get rid of it, they say, I don't need them. I can box this up and put it in the back of my truck and take it to the charity and be done with it. So that's what we hope for too.
So, and Rob, again, if somebody contracts with you to do a sale and everything doesn't sell, or?
it's almost inevitable that there's going to be some items left over in a full estate. And in that case, we offer a clean out service. Now, some clients don't need it because there's, like he was saying, very few items left. But in some cases, there's stuff left over that people either bought and didn't pick up, or that people just didn't buy. And in cases like that, we offer a clean out service where we can have a crew come out, either one that we run, or we can sublease that out to another company.
So you do your own clean out service?
We
Is
do.
that what you're saying?
We can.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an a la carte option. It's another fee after the sale, because at the beginning of the sale, we don't know what's going to be left over. So you have to figure that out at the end.
Okay.
You had a question?
May I please ask, Rob, do you ever do like cleanup and sale of equipment or vehicles?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Sherry, tell us, how do you determine if we have a potential client that's a good fit for donations to Sharon Shed?
So on the client end, or like
The
for a
items
donor
that they're going to.
that they're gonna donate
Yes.
to us?
Yes.
well, as long as they qualify, as long as they are in good condition, we say gently used, as long as they don't have stains and tears and broken, that kind of stuff, we'll pick it up. There's a list out there too that tells you what we do and don't take.
And you brought one of those lists today?
Yeah, there's
outside. Okay. And you have a website that it's on as well.
Something interesting about that too, like if you have boxes of like kitchen items and stuff, we're not going to go through your box and say, oh, we can't take that, we can't take that. We'll take your boxes of kitchen items and that kind of thing. And we go through it, and what we don't use, then we send on to like Salvation Army, Habitat for Humanity. Some things go to the dog shelter if they're things that they can use. So we kind of try to recycle it as much as we can before. We give things to the homeless, so they like the smaller throws that maybe we don't keep, and so, because they just get wet and they can't carry them around, so it's very recyclable that way. And so we try to do as much of that as we can for things that are donated to us.
Great. Jeff, how do you determine if a potential client is a good fit for what you offer?
That's a great question because, you know, sometimes we're not. And what I mean by that is, you know, we try to be as honest and transparent as possible and sharing what we do. You know, a lot of times they're giving us the key to their door, to their house, and asking us to go in and take care of the things, whether it was theirs or maybe it was their parents. And it's not just selling stuff, you know, it's very emotional and sentimental. And so we have to work well together from the very beginning, from that very first phone call. And if there's a feeling that, you know, that we're not going to work well, then I would rather them work with someone else they feel a little bit more comfortable with. And that's just anything in life, whether, you know, it's a estate sale or whatever. Now, it's very, very rare that would happen. But typically, sometimes situations will be, again, it's very emotional when there are siblings. And not all the siblings are getting along.
Yeah.
And sometimes the siblings don't even know what the other ones are doing. Sometimes that can be a fit that I'll just say, we're not a good fit. Because we don't want to enhance to what's going on. We want to help, but we don't want to hinder or add fuel to the fire. And so sometimes there are signs that it's just, we don't want to be part of that dynamic of what's going on with maybe the family or friends or whatever. Again, that's very, very rare. But if you do it long enough, you will have situations that will pop up. So anyway, that's an important part, that it's not just commissions, fees, and what are you going to do and what you're going to do, but that overall fit. If you feel good working with that person, then hire them. If there's a little bit of, I don't know, think twice. Go to their sales, see how they conduct their sales. You know, check out their staff. Do that secret shopper. I love it when they do that, actually. And have them come and see how you conduct the sale. And it tends to, because from that very phone call to setting up an estate sale, to conducting the sale, to after the sale, there are many contacts. It's not just a 1 or 2, 3. So you're building a relationship with this person that, you know, you want it to be very positive.
Yeah, so you need to have a good trust factor.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because here's the other thing too. Like I said, there's some clients I never see. They're out of state. And they give me the code or a key. And so they have to trust me when we go through mom's jewelry, that when I say, hey, you had $5,000 worth of real jewelry, you know, and they tell me before, there's no real jewelry there. And that's good news, right? Hey, guess what? They're trying, but they had to be able to trust whoever they gave the keys to, that they were going to say, by the way. And we find money, we find other things. So you've got to really trust them. So it's not just about commissions and what's it going to cost me. It's just, do you feel good working together?
So Rob, I saw you shaking your head on a lot of things that you said. Yes, we agree. So anything else you care to add about when you're meeting with a client to see if they're a good fit?
Yes, it's a combination of factors. You have to be able to manage client expectations. Let's be completely honest here. Some things in your house or in your relatives' houses, you've got a sentimental attachment to. That was grandma's cookie jar. I used to get cookies out of that when I was little. It means something to me. There's something like that for every single person in this room. And it's not going to mean anything to somebody who doesn't have that story or that connection. And that's the sad fact of it. The other thing that you've got to make sure that you communicate well to the people that you're going to be working with is, aside from sentimental attachment to items, sometimes you've got a pre-built number in your mind about what you think your property's worth. That dining room table that you bought back in the 80s, okay, that you spent $2,000 on, okay? High-end, nice table, you've used it for 30 years, 40 years. It's not worth what it was. But conversely, on the flip side of that, there's stuff that you've got in your house that you would not believe the value of. And I can speak to that. We had a client. Mind if I do a little?
Yeah, for a minute. Yeah, go ahead. Love to hear
We had a client that hired us back in 2009. He had inherited a house in Arnold. He needed to sell the house. He lived in Rolla. He was having to drive in every weekend and manage it, and he just wanted out. His aunt had left him the house. His cousin had passed away before his aunt and left his aunt all of his stuff. Okay? So the house was jam-packed. He had no idea what he had. No idea. He hired us, we came out there, and in the basement of this house, we found 3,000 vintage comic books. Okay? They were not properly stored. They were in boxes, in a cardboard box next to a leaking water main that was dripping into an open Rubbermaid bucket that never overflowed. We sold the contents of that house, not including the comics, for $8,000. He was so happy with that, he wanted us to sell the house. We did that. We sold the house for about $61,000 in 2009 at the bottom of the market. And it was a split level in Arnold that looked like 1974 threw up inside. I want you guys to just take a minute and think about what you think those comic books sold for. So I'm going to say a number here in just a second, and it's going to shock you. Comic books range from 1954 to 1974. So I hear over 100,000. Anybody else want to take a guess?
500,000.
500,000. $1,072,000.
Oh my Lord.
Let me go back through my house.
He offered to sell those directly to us for $5,000. We turned him down. We said, you're going to be a lot happier if we sell those for you and take a commission.
Yeah, I guess he would.
There's a video testimonial from him on our website if you want to see it.
So we've got about 20 minutes. So we'll take all the time, up to 20 minutes, to answer questions. So yes, ma'am. In the
I
back.
have a question for Rob. You said, are there minimum bids that you could put on things?
Yes, we can work, those are called reserves. So if let's say we're going to sell a car for you. We can offer a reserve on the car. So what that technically means, the legal definition is we are reserving the right to reject the bid. A reserve, let's say you've got a car that you need to get $8,000 out of, okay? Because that's the blue book value on it. You don't want to let it go for less than that. That's fine. What we usually do in a case like that is we charge a flat fee on that item. It varies depending on what the value is on that item. So that if it doesn't meet the reserve, we still get paid. But usually that fee is pretty minimal, $50, $100, something like that. And then that item, if it meets the reserve, it sells. If it doesn't meet the reserve, but it gets close, I might contact you and say, look, you wanted 8,000, I got it up to 7,500, would you be willing to let it go at that? Then you can make your mind up then. And if you're not wanting to sell it lower than your minimum reserve, no problem. I charge you my flat fee. It doesn't sell, you retain it.
That answer your question?
It did, and can I
Go ahead,
ask another
sure.
question? For Jeff and Bob, rather than selling the whole lot of anything, do both of you accept like smaller lots within the house to sell?
Absolutely.
What was the question?
Well,
She asked if they don't have a full estate, but they have, let's say, a room in the basement or a garage full or a smaller collection, would we take that on?
Was that your question? Okay.
well, it depends on how we're able to sell it. Since we don't do it online, we do it on site. It depends on how we would be able to facilitate that. You don't have to, like for example, you do have to set it up, or we do anyway, set it up as a what it looks like an estate sale. You don't have to have every room available. We might have 3 out of the 10 rooms or 8 rooms. So we could do that as long, you know, also we have a minimum, so is it gonna hit the minimum? So there is a possibility that we would do a smaller component of your overall items, yes.
And as far as my company goes, we take consignments ranging from a single item up to multiple estates from the same client.
Okay, and last question, is Carnival glass worth anything?
It can be.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends entirely. What I always like to tell people is there's 3 factors that are going to determine the value of anything. It doesn't matter what it is, a Harley Davidson or a Rolex watch. 3 factors: scarcity, desirability, condition.
Ma'am in the blue shirt back there.
Yeah, I found when my mom passed that her silver is really hard. We don't know what to do with, it's a silver set and a silver tea set, and it's like, we were told it doesn't really sell well, plus it has initials on it. Do you guys handle that, helping to get rid of that for someone? or-
Yes. So a question: is it silver plate?
No, silver.
Oh, it's silver.
No, it's
Silver.
silver.
Okay. So it is inherently valuable because it's
Right.
silver.
Right.
If it is sterling silver, it is an absolute perfect fit for an auction. I can tell you that unequivocally.
Okay. Is it better for us to melt it down and take coins from it?
I think that it is better to sell it as is because competition is key. Competition is key. If you sell it as it is, and it's a let's say it's a tea set, you said, right?
Yeah, and silver.
And silverware. Okay. So if you melt it down, then all you have is a pile of silver, which is still valuable
Right.
and readily saleable. But you lose out on the person who would have bid on it because they wanted silverware or they wanted a tea set.
Sir, sorry, 1 second. Did you have a question back
Yeah,
there?
maybe for Rob, some quick questions. I'm 70 years old. Mom's still alive back home in the house I grew up in.
Okay.
We collected all this crap stuff. Comic books, metal toys,
Uh-huh.
my railroad train when I grew
Yeah.
up as a little kid.
Marks or Lionel?
Lionel.
Excellent.
Yeah. So old stuff like that. I have a pile of it at home I brought with me. There's a pile at my mom's house in
Mhm.
Peoria. Would you take all these knickknacks that I've boxed up and give you the boxes and you sell them for me? Or how does that work?
Absolutely.
I just give it to you and you
What we
sell
would
them.
do is I would sign a contract with you that would state a time period for the sale to happen,
Yeah.
and it would delineate out my responsibilities as the auctioneer and your expectations as the client.
And you take all these knickknack stuff that's in
We can take-
boxes and
We can
either
take
get-
all of that in,
Yeah.
we could get it processed, we would probably do that in a warehouse auction, what we call a multi-consigner sale,
Yeah.
where we've got stuff from you, and we've got stuff from him over there, and her over down the way. We put those all together in a sale, produce a catalog, run the marketing, produce the sale, then get you paid.
Yeah, Barb?
Jeff, do you charge to come out to a house to walk around and evaluate whether it's worth going to a estate sale?
Great question, and no. There's no fee, no obligation for me to come and do that walkthrough, not at all.
I'm gonna mirror his sentiment. We do consultations free of charge, and they're not obligatory. We do verify before we come out what kinds of material you have. We ask you to send some pictures.
You're gonna have one next week?
There's somebody over here had a question. So,
First, if you knew my husband, he's at we call it the pitch sales on the weekends. That's what he does, all weekends go to the sales. So if he was here, you'd recognize him. And we've just been going to auctions sometimes just for the fun of it for years. You know, and then with the COVID and everything.
Sure.
He seems to like the auction, online. I like online auctions. And he likes to go to people's houses.
Sure.
For some reason, so we don't see each other.
It's more of a social event when you get to go in person.
Oh, he does, yeah. And then so many times he likes something and he doesn't buy it, and I go out the next day and buy it for him. You know, I'm going, come on, it was $50, you know, for something that he really wanted. Anyway, I just didn't know, I know you guys, estatesales.net advertise.
Yes.
And where do you put your catalogs and stuff in?
So our catalogs currently are on a bidding platform called apro.bid.
Okay. Say it again. What?
apro.bid.
Okay.
auctioneerpro.bid.
Okay.
So apro.bid. That is where our sales are held.
Okay.
But as far as where we advertise, we do a lot of email marketing. We do a lot of social media marketing, particularly on Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
And we also put ads on estatesales.net. We used to use estatesales.org. When we publish a sale on our website, it kind of spiders out to about 15 different sites that are all like auction advertising sites, and so it gets picked up by kind of a network.
Okay.
And that's built in with our marketing fee.
Okay. I guess I don't ever remember coast to coast auctions. Being on estatesales.net is where I just look.
We are on there.
Okay. I'll have to look closer.
Yeah, we do post our sales there. I'm actually the one who does it.
Okay.
I do most of our marketing.
And how often do you have these sales?
We usually have one sale a week.
Okay.
There's almost always something running all the time.
Oh, okay.
Whether it's going to be a warehouse auction or an or an on-location estate auction.
Okay.
There's almost always one or more running.
Oh, okay.
I will tell you, estatesales.net, for people who want to do their own estate sales, you can also place your listing on that for a fee.
Yeah.
Okay. And Sue, you brought up one thing I did want to point out was you said that your husband likes to go to the actual sale. And,
they all know him.
Okay. I think that's one of the things that, some people like that. You can smell it, feel it, touch it. You can verify the condition. You can get it right then and there. But an online thing, you can sit back in, in your easy chair or whatever, and bid that way. So there's pros and cons, to the different ways.
Mm-hmm.
There is also people who do online estate sales, which you do not do. You do in person.
We just do on-site
Yep.
estate sales.
Okay. All right.
And they do really, your stuff is well marked and priced and, it's very organized.
All right. Thank you so much, Sherry from the Sharing Shed, Rob from Coast to Coast Auctions, and Jeff from Pennies in Your Pocket Estate Sales. So,
Do you have all their everybody's contact information out on the table?
if I know Rob ran out of cards,
Yeah, I'm
but
sorry
they're all
about
going to
that.
stick around, so you can talk to
Or
them.
can you just share your phone
or
number?
Absolutely.
Let us know if you want us to send them information. Okay. Just a quick reminder, next month's seminar is another expert panel. the truth about what to look for in a retirement community. So I hope you'll join us again, and feel free to bring a friend. Thank you so much.